What's up, guys? It is Tuesday, February 7th. It's 12:04 p.m. and this is the crypto newsletter. So I wanted to start it off with this video, Binance, the evolution of money, summarized in less than 30 seconds, because a deep dive that I'm going to share later today talks about the evolution of money and how a medieval currency back in the Middle Ages, like back 1300, 1500, how there was a virtual currency. It didn't exist tangibly, but it is spelling the script for exactly how the XRP rollout or XLM rollout is going to be, and how it's so crazy how the past predicts the future, and just it's the same stuff that happens time and time again. And that's going to be a crazy deep dive. So you're definitely going to want to watch that. It's the EQ de Mark is what they call it. I've covered it before, but I found way more things about it. So it's going to be a blast. So if you guys want to watch that video and you guys are excited for it, definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell, get updated in real time when I drop it, and let me know if you're excited for it in the comments. So first, we're going to watch this. It'll set the stage. So we've gone from this barter kind of system of money to the coins. And then we went to fiat currency. Now we're headed into digital currency. And that's all the stuff that we cover in our educational programs here on Stargate-Ventures.com website. If you come to the homepage of the website, I'll put the link in the bio. Book a free info session. First off, it's free. And if you want to hop on a call and develop a game plan for 2023 and kind of some of the products and services that we offer and how they could best suit you to enable you to have a successful kind of journey on crypto in the markets, and just kind of, if you're brand new, learning about it and getting your feet wet, definitely book a free call. It's free. As well as if you want an education free, we do have this crypto accelerator course. You can click education software up here and it's absolutely free. And we walk you through kind of what that video had mentioned with the evolution of money. So in here, you have mission 1. You're going to get mission 1, mission 2 for free. And then Agartha, which is the whole kind of program to that, finishes it off from mission 3 to mission 7. Whole lot of good stuff in that course. So get that for free, as well as book a free info session as well. Would love to talk to you. Now let's go into it to the next thing, because this plays into what we just watched as well too. Bipolar currency regime will replace the dollar's exorbitant privilege. I covered this yesterday, but I was finally able to get in here. So skeptics argue that the global share of the US dollar as a unit of account, means of payment, and store of value hasn't fallen much. The writer is Professor Emeritus at the Stern School of Business, New York University, and Chief Economist at Atlas Capital Team. It's Nouriel Roubini. The US dollar has been the predominant global reserve currency since the design of Bretton Woods system after the Second World War. Even the move from fixed exchange rates in the early 1970s did not challenge the greenback's exorbitant privilege. But given the increased weaponization of the dollar for national security purposes and the growing geopolitical rivalry between the West and revisionist powers such as China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, some argue that de-dollarization will accelerate. This process is also driven by the emergence of CBDCs that could lead to an alternative multipolar currency and international payment regime. Everything that I'm going to share today, the newsletter and the deep dive, are all going to tie in together. So definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're updated real time when I release a deep dive, because it all plays a role into this. And you're definitely, if what we talk about today interests you with the news and then in the deep dive, then you're going to want to step into that free accelerator course, because it's going to absolutely level you up as far as your knowledge, and it will put you ahead of the game as far as what's to come here. But as you can see, skeptics argue that the global share of the US dollar as a unit of account, means of payment, and store of value hasn't fallen much despite all the chatter about terminal decline. They also point out that you can't replace something with nothing. A former US Treasury Secretary, Lawrence Summers, put it, "Europe is a museum, Japan is a nursing home, and China is a jail." More nuanced arguments point out that there are economies of scale and networks that lead to a relative monopoly in reserve currency status, and that the Chinese renminbi cannot become a real reserve currency unless capital controls are phased out and the exchange rate made more flexible. Moreover, a reserve currency country needs to accept, as the US long has permanent current account deficits in order to issue enough of the liabilities held by non-residents as a counterpart. Finally, such skeptics argue that all attempts to create a multipolar reserve currency regime, even as an IMF special drawing right basket that includes the renminbi, have so far failed to replace the dollar. And in that course, we cover SDR, IMF, etc. These points may have once have had some validity, but in a world that will be increasingly divided into two geopolitical spheres of influence, namely those surrounding the US and China, it is likely that a bipolar rather than a multipolar currency regime will eventually replace the unipolar one. Complete exchange rate flexibility and international capital mobility is not necessary in order for a country to achieve reserve currency status. After all, in the era of the gold exchange standard, the dollar was dominant in spite of fixed exchange rates and widespread capital controls. And while China may have capital controls, the US has its own version that may reduce the appeal of the dollar assets among foes and relative friends. These include financial sanctions against its rivals, restrictions to inward investment in many national security-sensitive sectors and firms, and even secondary sanctions against friends who violate the primary ones. In December, China and Saudi Arabia conducted their first transaction in renminbi, and it is not far-fetched to think that Beijing could offer the Saudis and other Gulf Cooperation Council petrostates the ability to trade oil in renminbi and to hold a greater share of the reserves in the Chinese currency. It is likely that the GCC countries, as well as many other emerging market economies, may soon start accepting such Chinese offers, given that they do a great deal more trade with China than the US. Also, there is a clear so-called Triffin dilemma in a currency regime in which the reserve country runs permanent current account deficits that will eventually undermine its reserve status as the growth in its international liabilities become unstable. We cover the Triffin dilemma in that course program as well, too. I think it's in the Bancor section. A bunch of good stuff in that. Critics question whether the currency of a country running a persistent current account surplus can ever achieve global reserve status, but China may, in any case, be moving towards a growth model less dependent on trade surpluses. It is also an anchorism that the U.S., whose share of global GDP has halved to 20% since the Second World War, still accounts for at least 2/3 of all so-called vehicle currency transactions. So, like Jay Merkers was saying, payment currencies versus reserve currencies, and the dollar still accounts for 2/3 of all that. And we're going to see that de-dollarization away from it, utilizing these neutral bridge assets like XLM, XRP, etc. The current system makes emerging market economies financially and economically vulnerable to changes in the U.S. monetary policy driven by domestic factors such as inflation. Finally, new technologies, including CBDCs, payment systems such as WeChat Pay and Alipay, swap lines between China and other countries, and alternatives to SWIFT will hasten the advent of a bipolar global monetary and financial system. For all these reasons, the relative decline of the US dollar as the main reserve currency is likely to occur over the next decade, these next 10 years. The intensifying geopolitical contest between Washington and Beijing will inevitably be felt in a bipolar global reserve currency regime as well. That's why this decade, and 2023 is going to decide how the next decade rolls out, but this trend of de-dollarization and the dollar kind of getting chipped away at is very well happening and will happen the rest of this decade. So if you're a US citizen and you're seeing this, and the US dollar, is just getting chipped away at, and eventually will not be the world reserve currency, or it will be kind of on a level playing field to other countries' currencies, then it's time to kind of level up and put your dollars to good use here into some of these digital assets or digital commodities that are going to power this next wave of technological innovation. And yeah, that I full-heartedly believe that is the best way to grow and preserve your wealth over this next decade. That's personally what I'm doing, not financial advice. But if you want to learn more about why I think that is the case, that's why you got to go into the Crypto Accelerator course, The Opportunity of Crypto. And boy, it is a big one. India's retail giant Reliance to accept CBDC at stores. Thank you, Chris, for sharing this. Reliance Retail, India's largest retail chain, will start accepting retail payments in digital rupee in a move that could supercharge the adoption of the country's recently launched CBDC. We're seeing these things come to light. It's crazy. You could track this stuff for years on years and years, but then it's here and it's like, whoa, it is really here. Like what we were tracking for so long is finally coming out to light. And maybe not in the US, but in all these other huge countries, we're seeing it come. The US will eventually follow. So we're seeing that be the case. They're launching these CBDCs. Then we saw this, education and blockchain. So UNESDOK. I want to learn more about them and who they are first. It seems like They are advancing the mutual knowledge and understanding, the encouraging cooperation among the nations in all branches of intellectual activity, including the exchange of publications, objects of artistic and scientific interest, and other materials of information. To me, this looks like something with the United Nations, something like that. United Nations Education Scientific Department of something. That was just a guess, but maybe it was close. I wonder if that was close. So I'm not exactly sure if that was it. It's not breaking it down for me as far as what that acronym or if that's the word for it means, but that is my best guess. The United Nations Education Scientific Department of something there. So what we can take from that and read about is if we go into it, and this was in a tweet that I had saw yesterday, and we searched something like Ripple. It's right here. So let's go into it right here. So it talks about blockchain, distributed ledger taxonomy, how many copies of the ledger come down here, settlement networks. And then you have permission, publicly shared ledger, distributed ledger, Ripple, a global financial transaction system, unpermissioned, publicly shared ledger, Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency. And as we go down here, it's talking about money expressed in units of currency. Each single unit of the same currency has an identical value to that of every other single unit at any one time. Currencies are also intra-convertible with fiat currencies at an exchange rate. The most common form of currency based on blockchain is Bitcoin. Then if we go and look at the other times it has said Ripple or Stellar. So that was the only time right here. But let me actually look and see Stellar. Nothing with Stellar. So we do see a lot more Ripple in these documents than Stellar, but both of them we see a lot. That's for sure. More than I would say any other kind of blockchain DLT platform out there. Traditional database running on the World Wide Web tends to use a client server. Okay, very interesting. All right, so let us go into the next thing here. But that might be something that I dive in a little bit deeper because it's talking about what is the relationship between self-sovereignty, identity, and blockchain. I do believe, like we're seeing the AI sector running crypto outperforming, I do believe we're going to have a point coming pretty soon here because I'm already starting to see the narrative build where decentralized identity or digital identity, those coins that are powering that will start to outperform most of the market here. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm going to dig into this more on my own time. Now we go to the next thing. So R3. So this was yesterday. Great to see R3's. They had this forum, the Asian Development Bank, the bond market forum, and R3 was there. And then I had pulled up this document from it, and I was going to see if there was anything in here that may kind of spur some interest. So this is what I see right here. So the Asian +3 multi-currency bond issuance framework will also use this brief series to review and explain this framework, which was developed by Asian Bank, and I don't know if that's the case, ABMF, and its constituents under the guidance of Asian Development Bank, acting as secretariat. ABMF developed AMBIF in 2014, aiming for a standardized approach to professional bond issuance across regional markets and drawing on the various characteristics that made a market professional as they already existed or were subsequently introduced. So they were able to illustrate how often already available bond market features can be combined to create a professional bond market concept for the benefit of all stakeholders with 7 markets. So if we go down here, they proposed the creation on the basis of common denominators found across regional bond markets at a time. And if we go down a little bit, you can see if settlement occurs at the domestic central securities depository and the bond is denominated in local currency. Go down a little bit more. So what I'm seeing here is that this definitely is going to need some kind of digging into a little bit more because this seems like there's something there, a multi-currency bond issuance framework. And the multi-currency stands out, and just the bond issuance and kind of tokenized securities and all of that stuff. It talks about settlement in here. And Asian Development Bank, I've seen in the past, has very big kind of initiatives as far as blockchain DLT goes. And I'm going to look into this a bit more, see if we can find anything, some golden nuggets in this. I found a ton of golden nuggets yesterday. I'm going to share in my deep dive. So I'm sure I'll be able to kind of connect some dots as far as this goes, but something's there. You know, when you can just feel it, so the verbiage is there, but it's kind of hidden. There's probably one kind of phrase in here that if I take and I look up, I'm sure I'm going to find something. So I will get back to this and I'll share it in the Discord under the research section. I'll put it right here. And if you're not already in the Discord, come join it. Like my man's here. What up, man? He just joined. You come join, and we'll continue sharing those research that we pull from these videos into this research channel right over here, like this Fidelity Digital Assets 2023 look ahead. I'm going to have to cover that in a follow-up video, but that was big as well too. So let's keep going, because this is what we got next. We got Australian government, the Treasury token mapping consultation paper. As we're seeing, a lot of these countries are now developing the frameworks. And this is a 59-page document as well too. But as you can see, they're really mapping it out. And now we know what to look for as far as what's important, like custody, also public smart contracts, regulatory policy issues, intermediated token systems as well. So yeah, this is a whole thing. I'm not going to dive into it, but it's good to see that we're seeing more frameworks being put in place, regulatory clarity. So global adoption this whole map can be orange, right? So I expect that to be the case. And I'm going to deep dive into this a little more too, because I love coming across all this stuff. You could really find some golden nuggets in here, but for the sake of this video, I don't want to go through 59 pages right now. I'll go through it on my off time. So cash or cashless, how people pay, February 6th. So the ECB has asked people in the euro area how they pay and which payment methods they prefer. So digitalization has changed and will continue to change the way people make payments. Today's payment options are in some ways unrecognizable from what was available a decade ago. Also too, I went into my Venmo account, and we all know that you could buy crypto on Venmo, but even just seeing how it says USD wallet, and then how it says crypto wallet, like so many people have Venmo, and every day I'm sure people are using it, and they're, even if they don't see crypto wallet right there, it's like kind of being subliminally like ingrained into their mind that more and more every day we're seeing those things take place, where all of a sudden we wake up a year later and like crypto is fully ingrained into our traditional system, and it's going under a lot of people's noses, which is crazy. A lot of people kind of shrug it off saying it's a scam still, and I just can't believe that. But digitalization has changed. Yep. So using a device or app, you may pay for your groceries with your watch today and use an app tonight to share costs and settle up with your dinner date before your plates are even cleared. But to be clear, cash remains the most frequently used means of payment. More than half of all day-to-day transactions in shops, restaurants are made using coins and banknotes. If we go down, cash remains the most frequently used means of payment. Then if we go down a little bit more, although most payments were still made in cash, 55% of euro area consumers prefer paying with card or other cashless means of payments. Then if we go down, what does this all mean for us at the ECB? So a healthy payment system guarantees access to different payment options as well as the freedom to choose. As cash remains widely used and valued, we are committed to maintaining euro cash and will continue to make sure it's available. This means we will guarantee the supply of euro banknotes, coordinate their production, and ensure the security and resistance to counterfeiting. We are working on new themes and designs for future banknotes. The aim is to have banknotes with a look that is even more relatable to European citizens. Moreover, we will continue to support the availability of different payment instruments. Compared to a decade or more ago, today's payment options are far more diverse. To keep and further develop this diversity, we are working on the potential issuance of a digital euro. This will add another option for citizens to pay with central bank money. Besides cash, we'll also continue to support point-of-sale and e-commerce solutions based on instant payments with a pan-European reach and European governance. Today and tomorrow, European citizens will pay with different methods, but with the same stable, reliable money, the euro. Boom, right there. So now let's go to the next article, where we have central banks are working on a monitoring system for stablecoin balance sheets. So the Bank for International Settlements is spearheading a project that will look into tech tools that could help regulators form policy frameworks for stablecoins based on data. The Bank of International Settlements, the associations of the world's central banks, is spearheading the development of a monitoring system for stablecoins to ensure issuers maintain adequate reserves. So named Project Pixtral. The program will also investigate tech tools to help regulators form database policy frameworks, BIS said on Tuesday as it's unveiled its work program for 2023. That's going to deserve a deep dive. A stablecoin is a crypto token whose value is linked to the value of other assets such as sovereign currencies, and its ability to keep its peg is linked to strength of its balance sheet. While central banks worldwide have been heads down on projects that experiment with digital versions of sovereign currencies, CBDCs, the stablecoin project is a first and illustrates a growing concern among regulators. While CBDCs are viewed by some central bankers as more of a secure alternative to volatile private cryptocurrencies, stablecoins promise the stability of the US dollar or euro and make up the bedrock of DeFi applications, something regulators haven't yet figured out how to supervise. So most central banks lack tools to systematically monitor stablecoins and avoid asset liability mismatches. The project will investigate various technological tools that may help supervisors and regulators to build policy frameworks based on integrated data. There we go. So the focus So 2023 program focuses heavily on how CBDCs can improve payment systems. The BIS is also working on monitoring systems for crypto and DeFi with Project Atlas. So other standard setters such as the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision and the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures are also looking to crypto and stablecoin supervision. There we go. I wonder if this is new. Nope, this is old. All right, so now we go to the next thing here. So Democratic lawmakers look to compel crypto miners to disclose energy and emissions data, Senator Warren. So we're still seeing that talk about the green energy and kind of tracking all this when it comes to decarbonization and the U.S. carbon emission goals. So we're going to see that kind of maintain the narrative here. And we already know all who is involved with that. But this is huge news. So Dell joins Hedera Governing Council to explore developing deep decentralized applications. So this is probably why HBAR had a huge pump today. So the council that runs the Hedera public ledger now is up to 39 members, each of which run a node on the network. Hedera is a beast, behemoth. We got IBM, we got Boeing, we got DBS, we got Dutch Telecom, we got Google, now we got Dell. So we're seeing Hedera get a lot of momentum. And as far as I'm concerned, Hedera is definitely a blue chip that you must have in your long-term holdings. And then we were talking about the Bank of America saying the U.S. potentially could default. Let's hear that clip.
The countries around the world, but you just hope it doesn't happen.
Are you preparing the Bank of America for a real possibility of a default?
Oh, we have to be prepared for that, not only in this country, but in every other countries around the world. But you just hope it doesn't happen, but you can't hope it's not a strategy. So you prepare for it. You get ready to make sure you have the liquidity, you have the setup. We have a lot of consumers who get paid by the government. We have to make sure that that's all set up for them and the waivers on their payments and fees and things like that. That's what we do, is we do it in a natural disaster or something else. And so I think, hopefully you've heard both sides say that the idea is not to shut down the government. The idea is to have a strong discussion about the question about how high the debt should be. We had to put on a lot of debt in the last couple of years to become the pandemic dragon economy, and administrations from both sides are also. And now at some point we got to start to figure out how that works in the future. But right now, we got to get past the issues of just getting through the technical structure.
It sounds to me like you are, though, instilling some contingency plans, because this could happen.
Everybody has to.
Okay.
So there we go. Right straight out of the horse's mouth, second biggest bank in the US. Then we have this. So world's top crypto hubs, London right at the top. And I'm surprised that Miami or like Florida wasn't in here, especially over like New York City. Yeah. So how's Chicago in here, but not Miami? So I was thinking the same. So I don't know how much I believe that. But digital pound, nothing like crypto. Bank of England official says, as press dubs it, Bitcoin. So the central bank has made no decision on whether a digital pound would use distributed ledger technology. John Cunliffe said, I'm sure it will. Ethereum testnet successfully processes first ever ETH staking withdrawals. So there's going to be a upgrade to ETH. I think it's in March that it's supposed to happen, but there's going to be a huge unlock of Ethereum that has been staked for a while. So that could lead to a dump on the market. So we're going to have to be addressing that and kind of keeping up with all of this. Could be bullish, could be bearish. We're going to have to kind of dissect it and kind of see the ramifications of a whole lot of Ethereum that's been kind of locked up for years now, being able to be withdrawn and unstaked. Decentralized identity network Space ID raises $10 million. Like I said, I think the decentralized identity kind of narrative is being built, and I'm trying to find some projects. I know there's Jasmine, but also there's a couple other ones that I got my eyes on, some that haven't even launched yet. So we're going to keep our eyes open to that. So CZ acknowledges bad user experience as Binance suspends US dollar transfers. I believe that Binance International obviously is sketchy, so they don't want to be tied up with the traditional infrastructure. Binance US, supposedly this is not happening to, but I know something's going up. There's definitely some hidden stuff going on with Binance. We've all known this. It's a matter of when that shoe drops. We're going to be on top of it, because that will be the short of 2023 for sure. That will be the FTT. It will be the Luna of 2023. And I will make sure we catch that ahead of the game. So get in the Discord, get updated and notified real time when we see these things. And I'll put that link in the bio. So the graph GRT soars 92% in 7 days. We caught the graph last night at not 17 cents. I think it was like 13 or 12 cents. So we're up, I think, a matter of 40%, 50% in 24 hours. right? I gave that call last night and it's doing pretty well here. So now we have Genesis agreement. We'll see Gemini contribute $100 million to compensate earn users. So Genesis could be up for sale under a new restructuring agreement with creditors. It looks like they're working this out. So this was kind of a cloudy area as far as, oh, could this be another sign of if they go bankrupt with some contagion? But it does seem like they're kind of pulling it together here. Dubai mandates licensing for crypto companies as it sets out regulatory requirements. We are seeing all these countries now pulling it together. So now it's likely we're going to see the US get their head straight here. Okay, banks blocking crypto access given fraud, volatility. Finance CEOs welcome new crypto regulations, but we're worried about the risk of a CBDC. So bank bosses in the UK are blocking customers' access to crypto assets due to concerns over fraud and volatility. Social media and technology platforms were cited as a significant source of fraud, but executives told the Treasury that new regulations could boost confidence. We had taken a pretty hard line as a bank on crypto. We're blocking retail and wealth customers from transferring into crypto assets because of the volatility and the stability of the platform. Very interesting. I think they're blocking people off because they don't want them to get it first, right? They're probably stacking it up on the back end. But then North Korea crypto theft hit record high last year. The UN says they stole around $1 billion worth of crypto. Crazy. Crypto custody tech firm Medico taps IBM execs to revamp institutional push. The Swiss crypto tech provider hired IBM's head of product as well as former IBM lead architect. So this is something interesting as far as the custody goes, because custody and building out that infrastructure is so important as far as getting these institutions in here to throw in trillions of dollars overnight into this market, with the regulation kind of set in place to do that. But we need custody as well too. They go hand in hand. Custody and regulation, I think once those are squared away, boom, we're going to have trillions flood in. So that's it for the newsletter, guys. I'm going to do the deep dive. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's going to be on the EQ to Mark. You can look it up beforehand before I release it. But what I found last night, as far as brand new articles, and I'll share the original video as well too. But what I found last night literally spells out exactly what Stellar and Ripple has built. And it's just crazy to be living in these times because we're dissecting how banking originated and how banking first initially started. Because once we know how it started and kind of how it went along this kind of evolution and where we're at now we can look and see how's the future panning out, because the future is kind of panning out just like the past did. So we can look to the past to predict what could happen in the future. And I think we got a good hand on it. So definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for that video, because I am, because I wanted to record it last night, but it was 1 a.m. and I was like, I want to bring that energy tomorrow for this video. So definitely it's going to be a good one. So I'll see you in there and join the Discord. The link will be in the bio. Don't forget, get your free crypto accelerator course. I'll put that link in there as well too. And I'll see you in the next one.